What's going on, everyone? So if you can't tell by the thumbnail of the video, I had an absolutely amazing time watching the film that I'm going to be talking about today, which was one of those movies that I would normally not decide to put on, but it was just one of those things where you're sitting around and you're like, what the hell? Let's just give it a go, and I wish I hadn't. The movie I'm going to be talking about today is the film Senior Year, now streaming on Netflix. Before the review starts though, if you haven't already, hit the like button on the video. Let me know you're enjoying the content. I really have a lot of fun putting these videos together, and I love engaging with you, the audience. And if you like the video, it lets me know, hey, I really like watching Nate suffer through these really terrible films, forcing him to talk about them in great detail. And also, I really like talking about great movies too. It doesn't matter to me. I just really enjoy getting that content out there for you. And also, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, join the conversation. Senior Year is directed by Alex Hardcastle. A 37-year-old woman wakes up from a 20-year coma and returns to high school where she was once a popular cheerleader to finish her senior year and become prom queen. So yeah, it's kind of like Billy Madison in a coma, but not funny. It's really, that's the review, guys. We're all done. All of these comedic actors that are brought together. You have Rebel Wilson, who people seem to really like. I haven't seen her in a lot. She seems like a perfectly nice person. I don't think she's funny at all in this movie, and I don't necessarily think that that's her fault. I think it's a really terrible screenplay that's just abysmally written. The film is way too fucking long. It's almost 2 hours long. No one needs a movie like this to be that long. The first half hour is essentially just building up her as a young character and all the people in her world, so that when she's in this accident and gets in the coma, that you're like, oh, remember that person? That was that person in the school, where you could have just had it as like a 5-minute scene where you see people's faces, and then later on they could just flash back and be like, oh, that was that person, that was that person. It really doesn't add much. There's one scene between her and her mother, because her mother passes away of cancer, that's like a pretty heartwarming scene that they do an okay job building that emotional core. But aside from that, you don't really need anything. You have the introduction of her father, played by Parnell, who I feel like can be genuinely funny, but comedies just hire him because they're like, hey, he can deliver lines of dialogue in a really deadpan voice and people will laugh, where he's like, are you taking crack cocaine? And people are like, it's so funny, oh my god. But it's really just like he's reading absurdist things out loud in a deadpan voice. He does kill it on Rick and Morty, and he's done a couple other things I really like. So Parnell, if you're watching, which I know you're not, I really respect you, and I think that you're a talented guy. Just this movie, it didn't work for me. So yeah, you're introduced to Rebel Wilson's young life. She's dating one of the high school popular kids. There's another guy that she hangs out with all the time that's clearly really into her, but won't ask her out because she's with this other guy. Then you have her arch rival on the cheerleading team. Then you have her friend Marth, who is sort of the outcast in the school, and she brings her on to be the head of cheer captain. And they're doing this cheer routine. The girl who she's rivals with convinces the other two guys to just let her fall. She hits the ground and she goes into a coma. When she wakes up, she's shocked to find out that the world has become a completely different place, where the high school that she used to go to, that was all about the popular kids fighting for the top, it's all, Marth is now the principal, and it's all about inclusivity and caring about other people and accepting everyone, and there's not really anyone that's popular, although they kind of fight that. And then it's Rebel Wilson being like, wow, this really sucks. Fighting to be popular is important. Doing this is, and it's the movie at its core has some good ideas about inclusivity and understanding people and representation, and that part of the film I liked. Nothing really sticks the landing as far as the message really hitting home deep. And I understand you could say, oh, this is just one of those turn your brain off and laugh movies, but it's not even funny. There's not even comedic moments. There's a couple of nice moments between. So she runs into the guy who was infatuated with her beforehand, and he's the school librarian now, and he truly cares about her and has a really good heart, whereas the guy she was dating married her arch nemesis in school. He's super douchey and awful, similar to the way that he was when he was younger. and it's like her wanting to go back to school and become prom queen and do all this stuff in school she couldn't do in her senior year. And because Martha's the principal, she lets her go back to the school. It's like your typical like old person running around with all these young people, and none of it's funny. There's so many like references to pop culture where they're trying so hard to be funny. But like an example of a joke in this movie is she asks the guy out who was actually like into her to go see a movie together. And she was like, oh, we were supposed to go see a movie last week. And he goes, no, that was like 1,000 weeks ago. 1,000 weeks. Get it? Because you were in a coma. And there's so many jokes like that where it's like, oh my God, none of this sticks. It's just all like very bland. There's a scene early on in the movie where the young version of Rebel Wilson's in a car with someone and they like slam on the brakes and she like hits her head against something. And it's supposed to be like a bodily comedy moment, but it's so horribly edited and timed that it's just like, okay, well, it happened. And there's so many moments like that where just none of the comedic punches land. And the ending is so formulaic. And just by the end of the movie, I was like, God, this is so loaded and long and boring that I just don't care. Like even the interpersonal connections between characters, which there's some sweet moments throughout it, but by the end of it, you've just been sucked into this 2-hour-long runtime that really doesn't do anything. I mean, you leave being like, well, I watched it. I wasted 2 hours of my life. So that's all I really have to say about Senior Year. There's some cute moments in it. I can't tell you that you're gonna laugh because it wasn't funny. It's not the worst thing I've watched all year. Firestarter 2022, I'm looking at you. It's not the worst movie that I've watched all year, but it's still not good. So I would avoid it if you have better things to watch, which with all the streaming services out there, you should most definitely have something better to watch. So have you seen Senior Year? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was not good. It was very bland and formulaic, and there's a lot of movies similar to this concept that are much better. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material. Look forward to getting more out there for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.